Paul Farbrace, your thoughts on, I guess, what is now back-to-back defeats for Sussex and innings defeats as well?
Yeah, look, the 2 weeks have been very similar, and the really disappointing thing for me, I spoke to players last week about you can be beaten by a better team, which I can take that. What I can't take is the lack of fight. I can't take the lack of desire to want to compete. And Yorkshire have shown us in this game on an outstanding cricket pitch, anything that bounces and goes through as well as this has and carried as well as his has, our bowling's been so poor for the last two games. And I know that's going to sound like a ridiculous thing to say when you've been bowled out twice for 200 in a game, but our bowling has just been so ordinary that we were out the game pretty much, having only got 200 again first innings, but then Yorkshire played superbly. They batted brilliantly. We bowled very poorly, and they showed again that any suggestion that the wicket had flattened out and was an easy wicket to bat on, it certainly wasn't. So I'm disappointed with our lack of fight. I'm disappointed with our lack of passion. At the end of the day, it comes down to it's not down to the players. That's down to me, because I feel that. I said to you last week at the end of the game, we'd be picking pretty much the same team apart from one bowling change. We made that one bowling change, and Danny Lamb came in because we thought that would be a better bowling option and also a better batting option. Gave us a real depth in our batting, which was tough on Ari, because when one person gets left out after a game, you feel like a bit of a scapegoat. And I said to you, I'd give them all a chance to do it again. And they've done it all again. They've done exactly the same as they did last week. So that's on me. I take full responsibility for that. I obviously haven't got them in a position this week to be ready for a fight, and I've backed them to come back and fight better than they did last week. I picked the team and I take full responsibility for it. What it has shown is that having started really well in the division, that the one or two have run out of steam. One or two have shown that actually they're probably better off in the second division than the first division. That might sound harsh, but I'm afraid that's where we're at. And we've learnt a lesson from two very good teams, Essex last week and Yorkshire this week. Yorkshire are a team on the up. They've got a lot of talented young players, and they've got a couple of very good experienced players, and Adam Lyth played brilliantly, showed how to bat on this wicket. But everything that you would want your team to do in terms of play late, play under your eyes, don't get drawn into driving at wide balls, we've done again with the bat. They showed us how to do that, and then our bowling, we just haven't been able to hit a length consistently on the off stump. And when you can't do the basics of the game and you don't have the fight and the desire to want to match the opposition, you've got no chance of winning games in Division 1. You can get away with it in Division 2, but you can't get away with it in Division 1. This has shown that we have got an awful lot of work to do with our final 3 games in September to stay in Division 1. 2 weeks ago we were sitting third and everyone was patting each other on the back saying how well they've done. We're now in a position where we've got a hell of a fight to stay in the division. And what it will show is whether we actually have got the right people. We've made some good signings for next year, and we know we've got some very good players in our team. And I'm not saying that everyone's chucked the towel in. What I am saying is that there's been a real lack of fight. You just watch on the field. We've got no noise, no energy. We're flat. We're slow between the wickets. We just look as though a team that's going through the motions. And as I say, that's on me. That's I pick the team. I'm the one who should be motivating and should be encouraging to play better cricket, and we're not doing it. So I need to have a good think about how I improve things. What do I do? I've got a few weeks now while the 50 over comp's on. I'm not involved in the 50 over comp. Grant Flowers looking after that with James Kirtley. So I'm going to sort of stick to my director of cricket role bit, which is watching the under-18s, watching other cricket, and getting some decent admin done. And while I'm doing that, I've got a chance to really take stock and think about what's coming next.
How important might that one-day competition be for one or two players who want particularly short of runs, Paul?
Yeah, look, there's Coles and Allsop are off to the 100. Simpson's playing in the 100 for the first couple of games. And the rest of the batters have really got an opportunity to show that they can score runs. Daniel Hughes will have a break. We don't play an overseas player during the 50 over comp, but the rest of them have got an opportunity to really step up and show they deserve to play, because there are places available. The one great thing is that our bowling attack will be a huge amount better for those last 3 games. We'll have Oliver Robinson available, we'll have Sean Hunt available, we'll have J. Devin Nadcat back. We know how skillful he is. So you add those 3 to the mix, and if we can keep those 3 going for the last 3 games of the season, then I'm really confident that we'll have enough bowling to give us a great chance. The 2 spinners I thought bowled pretty well here. Finn Hudson-Prentice did okay. But over the last 2 weeks, we just haven't been good enough. We've been poor with the ball, poor with the bat. And as I say, I can take being beaten by better teams, and both teams have been better than us. They completely outplayed us, but they've also shown, the fight, the grit, the desire, and that bit of steel that you need to play in Division 1 cricket. And, I don't like being involved with a team that looks soft and looks like that, 1 or 2 might have chucked the towel in, because that's not acceptable.
I don't want to put words into your mouth. Could there be 1 or 2 who over the last 3 games of the season might just be playing for their futures?
Oh, absolutely, there's a lot of people that are, including me. We're all playing for our futures. That's what professional sport is. We have raised expectation by what we've done over the last 2 years, and then in the last few weeks, we've had some pretty ordinary weeks. We had a week or 10 days in the T20. We lost 4 on the bounce, and that cost us qualification to the quarter final. We've come back to Championship cricket and we've lost 2 games, and not only have we lost them, we've been badly outplayed. And so, we're all under a bit of pressure. That's professional sport. I've openly said that, I want us to be competing to win the county championship, and on the last 2 games, you'd have to say we're miles off that. And anyone watching and listening to me previous in the summer would be saying, well, you've got no hope. And at the moment, they're probably right. So that's where I've got to work harder. I've got to work smarter. I've got to make sure that we're picking the right team, picking the right characters and the right people who really want to roll their sleeves up and get stuck in. Because, that's the one thing that, as I say, I can live with a lot of things, but I can't live with, the poor me type of scenario, which I've seen a little bit over the last 2 weeks. I don't like it, and it won't carry on, that is for certain. And we'll be giving it a really good go for those last 3 games of the season. But, I'm just really disappointed, and I'm, it's a bit of a slow death. You sort of, you listen to the lads in the change room now, and they're all a bit quiet and not saying much, sort of like they're really disappointed. But actually, you and I both watched over the course of the 4 days that there's only one team ever winning this game, and from probably tea time on the first day, Yorkshire being the only team. There was probably a chance when we came back on the second day, and you think, right, okay, if we can take 2 or 3 early wickets and get amongst them, then we give ourselves a chance. But when they were cruising along towards their 500, the game had gone by then. There was 1 or 2 innings today I was very pleased with. Dan Ibrahim last night with Dan Hughes showed a bit of fight. I thought, Finn Hudson-Prentice showed some fight today. Carlston was getting stuck in, but it's not enough. 50s are not enough. If you're going to play in Division 1, you need 150s, and certainly to compete with the best teams, you've got to play better than we've played. So as I say, look, we haven't chatted yet. I've given them a bit of time to have a think. I'm going to have a chat with them now about what they need to be doing over the next 4 or 5 weeks, wherever they're playing. And as I say, it's on me now. It's on me to make sure that we can get the team back to where we want to get to, and make sure that we don't just fall off the face of the cliff and back into Division 2 during September.